for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K,
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. The Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy.
The Stanley Cup winning Colorado Avalanche And after 22 years, Raymond Mark!
The sickest NHL podcast. It's gonna be sick.
And welcome to another edition of the Eye Test here on the Sick Podcast Network. I'm Jimmy Murphy. He's Pierre McGuire. We are live at the MGM Casino in downtown Springfield in the Tap Sports Bar. It is packed just past noon here. The crowd is filtering in, getting ready for the first game of the regionals here between UMass and Denver at 2 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, they'll have Maine and Cornell at 5:30 p.m. that will follow. But I'll tell you, it's pretty much, I would say, Pierre, 98% UMass where we are right now.
It's nice. By the way, Jimmy, what a great job you did coming up with this idea. Fantastic. Congratulations to you. We're sitting next to each other, but we have to look at our respective screens. And so I just want to let you know, Jimmy, you did a fantastic job. Couldn't be more proud of you. You should be proud of your alma mater.
I am.
The attendance in this bar at Tap at the MGM Casino, off the charts.
Yeah.
This is like, we had a gigantic crowd at Hurley's. I don't think half this crowd could have fit into Hurley's. This is
big.
phenomenal. It's great. So many people come over to say hi to Jimmy, ask for pictures. But the biggest thing is we're here to celebrate college hockey and this regional. And today we're going to start it off with UMass and Denver, Jimmy. What a phenomenal showdown. Then later on, Maine and Cornell, which is going to be awesome to watch. And you and I get to watch both of them, which is even more exciting.
Very excited. And up here, I think the big question, though, you talked about how packed this place is. Will some people lose their jobs tomorrow? Because a lot of people are playing hooky right now.
I'm just being totally frank. I wish we could turn it around to show people. I'm going to say there's 500 people here and maybe more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It is, and we'll write some slips, some excuse slips if anyone that needs them here. It is well worth it. Celebrate hockey. And as we were just talking to so many older UMass fans, the older UMass alums here, things were never this rosy back in the day for UMass. So there's a lot of people here that weren't able to experience this when they were in school, and I'm one of them. And to see them here now, joined with the younger generation and the current students, it's great. And Pierre, I'll tell you too, I stayed at the Holiday Inn Express. We're looking to get them as a sponsor as well here in Springfield. And a lot of the Denver parents were there, so they're ready to go. It's great. Like you said, it's a celebration of college hockey and also a celebration of hockey in Western Mass, which I love. And speaking of UMass, we're going to be joined right now by the athletic director of the University of Massachusetts, Ryan Bamfor.
Thank you. Sorry I'm a few minutes late. There must be something going on down there.
How about the crowd? How proud are you to
Awesome.
be a UMass fan right now? I said to Jimmy, it's just unbelievable, Ryan. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's really great.
We're pumped.
I was just saying, I graduated UMass in 2000, and obviously the hockey program was not where they are now. It's great to see the older generations uniting with the new generation, the new mass, as you guys call it, and to have a great hockey team to talk about. Because when I was there, it was all basketball.
Oh, yeah. And, that was one of the things when I was talking to Carvey about the job 7 or 8 years ago. I said, this is a sleeping giant. If we can build a contending program, people will come and support it. And sure enough, that 19 season, Kale's first year, we really started to see the people come in droves.
Yeah.
So you brought his name up. What led you to Greg Carville?
Well, I was very fortunate that for about 8.5 years of my career, I was at Yale. And we had hired Keith Elaine. I had worked with Timmy Taylor. And I'm a college basketball guy, right? Played it and love it. But I always loved college hockey. And I'm like, when I got to UMass, and one of the appeal for me in 2015 coming was getting back to a school that had hockey, especially in Hockey East. And so I had those ECAC connections. I called Keith, I called a bunch of people, and they said, and one of the questions I asked them was, who's one of the hardest teams to play against? He said, always well coached, hard, execute well, disciplined, St. Lawrence. And I said, that's the type of program that I want to have here. And I didn't know Carvey, so I called him, and of course it was his alma mater, and I'm like, I don't know if I can peel him away from St. Lawrence. But sure enough, I think he saw the opportunity to be at a place that was going to invest heavily in hockey, and here we are.
Full transparency. I recruited Greg to St. Lawrence from Hotchkiss, coached him at St. Lawrence. drafted him in Pittsburgh, and he spoke at my wedding. So you picked the right guy. You picked the right guy. You picked the right guy, Ryan. Good job.
This is Carvey's Jerry McGuire.
I
Right
love
here,
it.
right?
I love it. Well, he's done an amazing job, and he's such a great partner, which is what you want in coaches, is you want somebody that you can build it with. And I think we've tried to meet everything that he's asked us to do, and he's very reasonable, but he, like he does with his teams, he wants high standards and expects that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's what you want your coaches to do, is push you.
Yeah.
So speaking of pushing, football's big here,
Yeah.
and you get a lot of out-of-league games.
Yeah.
Basketball's huge. Dr. J, I don't have to
Yeah.
tell you, Mike Calipari, everything. Hockey creates a lot of revenue for you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And we put it all right back into the program.
Yeah.
That was something I told Carvey we would do, and we've done that and some to make sure that we can stay at a high level. When you're in a league like ours, you can't rest ever, and that's the benefit of being in hockey. You're constantly looking at what other schools are doing to invest in hockey, and I think we've got as good a situation as any. You know, it's hard competing against the bean pot. You know, we don't have that, but we figure out where are the niches, where are the things that we can activate to ultimately lead to national success, hockey success. I think we've been able to capture that.
In that respect, what was the goal in terms of connecting with the community here in Western Mass? Because people may not realize that there's a great hockey tradition in this side of the state.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in Eastern Mass. I grew up in Arlington, Mass, and outside of Boston. Obviously, that goes without, it goes without saying the hockey tradition there. But when I came out here, even though UMass wasn't a great hockey school at the time, I would go around. There was always great hockey games going on, good leagues. What did you guys try to do when you brought Carvey in? Was there a goal to kind of bring that community in outside of the student body?
100%. And, you know, I didn't have the benefit because I wasn't here, but Toot Cahoon, for me, was a great sounding board. When I made a coaching change and we ended up hiring Carvey, the first person I called when I made the change after I talked to John McLetto, I called Toot. I said, here's the deal. I know people are going to call you. Here's what we're doing. Here's what the goals are. Here's what I'm investing. And Toot's like, this is awesome. Like, and sure enough, who did Carvey call? Toot. He was one of the guys he called to say, hey, can you win there? Can you? But Toot had built a community that needed to just be reactivated and re-stimulated, and so it was there. But you know, one of the things when I got to UMass, I'm like, we're the flagship campus of the Commonwealth, a great hockey state. Why the heck are we not winning in hockey? Exactly. And so I just felt like there was such an opportunity here, and we just needed to hire the right people and get the right people in our program that were all about doing high-level things academically, being great community stewards, and obviously competing on the ice.
And what about Cale McGuire?
I was just going to go there.
Well, you know, to John Micheletto's credit and his staff, they had locked up Cale, but you know, the commitments are soft.
Oh, I know what Carville did to get him to come. He flew right out there.
That was the one thing I said when Carvey accepted in that same. He said, Ryan, I want to come. Let's go. And I said, great. I'm going to send you Cale McCarr's number. Call him, please, immediately. And he knew about Cale a little bit, but Carv will tell you. He said, I went out to see him, and
right away.
He texted me, and he goes, Ryan, this is unbelievable. This kid is so good. And I said, great. That's what I
what
thought,
a person, too. What a person.
What a great
When
human
Carvey
being.
got the
Family
job,
friend.
he called me up and he says, you know this McCarr kid? I said, yeah, he's really good. He's going to go in the top 5 picks of the draft. He goes, I'm going out there tomorrow. I said, good idea, Carv, good idea.
Yeah, so to be able to salvage that, and that's how the family is so grounded that they didn't get, you know, other schools at that point coming in. It was a feeding frenzy to get him to flip. Nope, we're coming, Ryan. I kept calling him. We're going to hire a good coach. We're coming.
Jimmy, I just wanted to ask the athletic director, one of the things you've done that really impresses me is how much money you've been able to raise for UMass athletics. Was that really the focus of your job when you came here, or was it to stabilize all the sports programs?
It was. I mean, it's a focus of every AD I feel in the country, right? But we, you know, when I got here in 2015, we were raising about $1.5 million a year as a department. Last year we raised $8.5 million. So we've grown it. Hockey success has helped. Greg's a great fundraiser. He's a great friend raiser. Builds the community, the engagement. His emails that he sends out every week. We get money because people want to be part of hockey, and we've seen it in basketball now. We've seen it in football. So it's, you know, success begets success. I think you can never. I haven't met an AD that says yet that they have enough money, right, to be able to do what they want to do.
Yeah, that's true. You never can have enough.
And so, we're constantly trying to push the envelope on what are the investments we can make to keep building. And you've seen it in hockey. We built a new locker room. We built a weight room. We built a new coach's locker room, a theater. All the infrastructure, the branding, all that infrastructure matters when you're recruiting kids, when you're trying to tell them we want you to build upon our success. So if you're asking a lot from them, you got to give them a lot to get that.
Now, how about the regional? How did this develop that you guys were able to host this regional?
Well, this was I'm going to tell you, the mind's eye of Jeff Smith, our deputy AD, who oversees hockey, came to me 3 years ago. And we had been talking about it for a while, but we wanted to make sure we had a chance to get in. We wanted to be good. And sure enough, right as we were about to bid a couple of years ago, COVID hit. And so I was like, you know what? Let's wait and see. But 3 years ago, we put in the bid. And sure enough, thank goodness it wasn't last year. We didn't get in last year. It was the only year we didn't for the last 6. But it just happened perfectly. And, when you have a chance to, even as a 4 seed, to be at a home site and have that, and I mean, you're looking at it here at TAP, right? There's a buzz.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's a 2 o'clock game. I think if it was a 7:30 at night game.
Oh, my God.
Holy cow.
We'd be calling the sheriff.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Sheriff Ash, you referenced it on your left.
Good buddy of mine.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
play golf with Sheriff Ash.
Well, you make sure you tell
great
him.
man.
Great man, and his sons were great hockey players. I
knew Tommy.
I coached Tommy,
Yeah.
and one of the Ash brothers, Mike Ash, played with my brother.
Yeah.
So I've known
Great
that family a long time.
Pretty neat.
And I guess winning that national title helped you a little too in getting the regional.
Good.
Right?
No doubt. And that was, and I think people recognize the people at Mass Mutual Center do a great job.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of tied. They're a sort of sister brother building to ours at the Mullen Center. We've got similar infrastructure, same management company. And the NCAA obviously looks at Northeast opportunities because we do well at putting people in the building.
Yep.
And so I think you're going to see we'll probably be the highest attended regional of the 4.
So one question about facilities. Your rink's a little bit bigger than most. Minnesota was the same back in the day. They shrunk their rink. Any talk about doing that?
I talked to Carb about it a little bit. It hasn't come up in a while. In some ways, I think it's a little bit of a strategic advantage with how we build our games. I think where we struggle is when teams that can really skate come in the building, like BC, VU, UC. That's when the open ice creates a little bit of a disadvantage in some respects. We've talked about it. The hard part is our seating is configured in a way where we wouldn't just have to change the ice. We'd have to actually change our seating.
Okay, that's
pretty considerable.
So that's good intel.
Yeah.
Because one time I was there, I was visiting with Greg. We were actually breaking down tape, and I think you had Disney on Ice coming in. And I was blown away by how large, when the boards come out, the ice surface was.
Right.
You go to all these buildings all over the world. This is one of the more unique ones, I think, your Mullen Center, in terms of how wide and long the ice can get.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
really.
that's because I looked at that when I first got here. I'm like, man, is this an advantage? Or we're so unique? It's us and UNH in our own league that have a different sheet. But I think, and it hasn't hurt us in recruiting. That was the one thing I thought I said to Greg Carb, like, is this going to hurt us? And he goes, no, I don't think so. But he had to live it too a little bit to see. But it is something as the game evolves, I'm constantly saying those things to Carb.
So when I was coaching the NHL, when Minnesota didn't have a team, we'd always lay over there before we go play in Winnipeg. And we practiced at the University of Minnesota. And our guys loved it because the ice was so big. There was no contact. But I was like, I'd get so ticked up. You're like, this stinks. And so eventually, I know in Minnesota, they shrunk their ice. And I was just wondering whether you guys would think about that as well.
Talk to us about Carvey. We talked about how he went out there to see McGuire, but talk to us about the recruiter that he is, because I don't think there's many better in college hockey right now.
Well, I mean, I think we got ranked, a year or two ago as the best developmental program in the country. I think that's true. Look at the guys that have gone on. The guys that weren't drafted when they came in that all of a sudden got drafted because of the work that Carvey and staff did. That helps in recruiting. And, we're selling a top public research university, a great education, great part of the country to come, investment in hockey. I think when we get kids on campus, we rarely get beat in the recruiting process. And Carv's very honest with them about what to expect and about the high standards that we have. And I think that resonates with kids. I really do. But Carvey's great. Here's the deal. in hockey, you guys understand this better than anything. Like it has to be a full staff of recruiters. That's where Jared and Ben and our past assistants did a fantastic job of building those pipelines. And now we've got two guys who are doing it again for us to reinvent ourselves, kind of what Carvey calls UMass 2.0. And so I think it takes the whole staff, because those guys are really getting people in front of Carvey. Carvey's an unbelievable closer. Yeah, and he's himself. And I think that's what people appreciate is he's honest, he's truthful, he's authentic. And I think that moves the needle in recruiting.
You know what else he is? He's really smart. Carvey could have gone. People don't know this about Greg. He could have gone to any school in the country. When he went to St. Lawrence, the only reason he came, the hockey program was really good, and he grew up in Canton, New York. He could have gone anywhere in the country. Trust me.
Good stuff. So you look out here right now. When you got to the school,
no chance. I'm going to say it for you, Ryan. Not a chance.
My first hockey game was, God, I think it was Sacred Heart. It was our first hockey game, and I counted 411 people in the like. I could literally
you have more than that in here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And that's
in a bar.
Yeah, and that was the early beginnings of October of that 2015 year, and I just said, man, this arena looks big already, and it looks even bigger when you only have 400 people.
Trust me.
We didn't have student engagement and those things. Now we get 2,500 to 3,000 students for every game, and obviously our season ticket holder base has gone up, and it's awesome because everybody's like, well, would you shrink? Would I right size the building in some respects? Yes, but I love when we get 9,000 for hockey. What an advantage that is. And they're all yelling and screaming, and when we score that first goal at the Rocks, I think you're going to see it at 2 o'clock
the
today.
chants and everything. Yeah. It's a great atmosphere.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Ryan, we appreciate
Oh,
you.
this is
I know
awesome.
You've got to do a lot of mingling
Thanks
here.
for being with you guys.
Awesome.
Anything we can do to help, we're here.
Go you.
Thanks,
Right.
Ryan. Thank you.
I got to play neutral, but
Yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
Thank you,
I know
Ryan.
who you're cheering on. You got a little maroon on your shirt. See you guys. Thank
All
you.
right,
Thank you
Ryan.
for doing hockey.
Thank you.
all right. Thank you very much. What a great gentleman there.
So
what a
now,
great gentleman.
so if you're on the board at UMass and you hear him talk and you see his passion, it rings true.
Yeah,
It rings true.
yeah. I
So
love the enthusiasm.
He's a visionary. He gives credit where credit's due. He's not afraid to talk positively about his employees, and he even knew about the rink size. I was trying to catch him.
I know.
I was trying to catch
Yeah.
him to say, hey, more of a basketball guy. He's a hockey guy.
Yeah, he did his research.
He did his
He
research.
did his research, man.
Yes.
I love it. I remember we had that conversation. You said, Jimmy, just, go easy on him because he's got a basketball background. I was blown away. Good for him. Good for Ryan Bamfor. I'm very happy to have him on.
But
The
come on.
athletic
Look
director.
at this.
You know what, Pierre? I'm gonna just take
Your
your
computer.
I want everyone here to see what we're looking at right now and what Ryan was talking about. This is the crowd right now
Stand
here
up
at
if
the
you can,
tap.
because in the back it's
Look at
free.
this crowd right now. All the UMass fans here, ready to go for UMass Denver. That's what you're looking at right now, guys, and it is something.
They keep coming in the door. Like,
And
where's the fire?
yeah.
I think Sheriff asked me to deal with the fire marshal. Let those guys have some fun.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed. So behind Pierre and I, they've installed a bowling alley with another bar. They added this on, I guess, about 2 years ago. I was just talking to the manager, and they're now opening that up here. I just saw people starting to go in there and see the tables in there.
When we were here early setting up,
Yeah,
there was nobody here.
there's nobody here at like 10:30.
And now the manager saying, hey, don't worry, we'll keep the fire marshal away. Don't worry. I know you guys are worried about it. Holy mackerel, it's amazing. I know, you'll be great. Thank you.
You're doing great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this is a great atmosphere, Pierre. I'm wondering though now, will we see Cornell or Maine or Denver fans? I'm thinking they take over another bar somewhere.
So I will say this. Maine travels
Oh my
amazingly
gosh,
well.
we had that conversation.
I'm just telling you, they travel amazingly well. This goes back to the 80s and the 90s, okay? I'm just telling you. Cornell, historically, always travel. Look, and I know the Cornell-Colgate thing
Yep.
like the back and the front of my hand. They travel well. I think for Denver, realistically, hard to get them to travel because they're expecting to move on
Yes.
to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So everybody's
So they're
counting
saving their money
yes,
for that.
Yes.
Good point.
yes.
Pierre, one thing I forgot to ask, but I want to talk to you about it because you've been in this situation.
Yeah.
Okay? So Maine is in this tournament. There's a chance that Ben Barr and Greg Carville could play each other for the right to go to the Frozen Four. What is that like for a head coach and an assistant facing each other in such a huge game when they used to work with each other? And not only that, they won a championship together. What is that connection like on the ice before the game? What's it like?
You don't even talk to each other. You talk after the game. They're no friends before the game.
Okay.
Now everybody's different. I remember in '92 coaching in the final with Scotty Bowman, with Scotty and I and Rick Keogh and Barry Smith. And then on the other bench was Daryl Sutter and Mike Keenan. Mike Keenan's first pro job was working for Scotty Bowman in Buffalo, where he actually ran the Rochester Americans and won the Calder Cup. And I remember Mike and Scotty never talked the entire series until the end. And then Mike came right over to our bench. We swept them. And Mike shook hands with Scotty, and it was the first time they had talked the entire playoff.
Wow.
So it just shows you that's kind of like my measuring stick for it. And I give Mike a lot of credit. He was a great coach. Obviously, Daryl was a phenomenal coach, and none of the coaching staffs in those days talked to each other. And I don't think it's changed much now, Jimmy. I really don't.
Yeah. Is it extra motivation? Like, do they factor that into motivation with the team as well? Or that's just something that's completely not spoken about amongst the players, amongst the coaches? It's just not a topic.
I think you always want to be competitive. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with being competitive. You know, I remember having a coach against Scotty when he was in Detroit with a gigantic team, and my team in Hartford, we were just starting out a rebuild. And I remember one night we beat him. We beat him in Hartford. And he pulled the goalie. He did a Patrick Law. He pulled the goalie, I think, with 4 minutes to go in the game. And they scored a goal, actually, to make the game tight. And I called him the next day because Barry Smith, who's a good friend of mine, was coaching with Scotty in Detroit. And Barry had told me after the game that Scotty was ill. So I called Scotty on his phone in his office in Detroit to see how he was doing. He said hello, and I said, "Hey, Scotty, it's Pierre. I wanted to see how you're doing." He hung up on me. He thought I was calling to taunt him. I was not, and he knows. After it was all said and done, we talked, and he thought I was calling to taunt him, Jimmy, but I wasn't.
All right. Well, you know what? We got another great guest coming on right here. Come on, join us here. Mike Merchant is the head of the UMass hockey alumni. He used to play way back in the day before they had a pause in the program and then came back and joined the Hockey East in the early 90s when I was there. Mike, as somebody who was playing for UMass in the 70s and you watch this program grow, you look out right now and you see this right now. They're hosting a regional. You look at this crowd. What does that feel like?
It feels real good.
Yeah.
And it warms your heart. You see the crowds like this come out. What started all of this, and I just talked to Ryan Bamfor, you go back to the two Cahoon days?
Yes. He's just mentioning that.
And Toot really worked hard at building a fan base, the student support base. And Mark Dennehy, you know, Mark Dennehy.
Mark.
He had a sign up in the stands that said Cahoonaville. Welcome to Cahoonaville. And he and Toot built that. And what was really sensational is they had a whiteout night. Almost brought tears to my eyes. They filled that place.
Awesome.
So to see this is just more of the same.
And I imagine though when they won that national championship, there might have been a little dusty.
More than that.
Got a little dusty there.
I wore this today just for
Oh yeah. Were you there?
I was there. I was able to go.
Wow.
COVID times. Yep.
Unreal.
Yep.
Unreal.
It was fun.
What we spoke about it with Ryan, but from your perspective, what did Cal McGuire do for the program and the hockey community here? Oh, look at this. Somebody just gave me a Jonathan Quick jersey. Look at that. What a season he's having.
Well,
There we go.
Never mind the season. Look at the career he's had.
Amazing. Hall of Fame career. So what did he do for that program?
Quick or
Quick.
Quick?
No, McGuire. Let's start with McGuire.
He brought it to another level.
Yeah.
And in the 19 regionals, we were in Manchester. And I didn't know it, but his family was sitting down a couple of seats from us. What a family.
Yeah.
The whole family. And so you can see where Kill gets all of his attributes. And yes, just the name, And you know how much UMass gets mentioned? And Pierre, you must know, on all the
Pierre,
NHL,
Pierre does a lot of it too.
all the
He
NHL
said, you know how much
broadcasts,
UMass gets mentioned
because of
Cal
McGuire.
McGuire.
Even how many years he's been in the pros, they still say from UMass. So
Well, between Carville, Quick, and McGuire, you get a lot of mentions on national teams.
Yep.
UMass.
So that does an awful lot for the university.
Good stuff. Now, where did you grow up?
Framingham, Mass.
Okay, and then you went to UMass as
Yes.
an undergrad.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
What was it like playing in those days? Where did they play?
It was a different time.
I'm going to just go say hello to
Yeah,
this
go
man.
for it.
It was a different time, but it was also a different world. We played. We didn't have Mullen Center. We
Yep.
had nothing on campus.
Yeah.
We had to play over at Orr Rink, Amherst College's rink.
Oh, okay.
And
Was that outdoors?
no,
Okay.
it was covered by that.
Okay.
But they,
Thank you so much.
we had to dress in the cage. You're a UMass
Yeah.
guy. The cage is the basketball facility before they moved to
And
the
then you
Mullen
go over
Center.
there.
We'd have to dress there, put our skates in the car, and then drive over to Orr Rink, use their public locker rooms,
Okay.
practice. We were lucky that they shared their home locker room for our home games. We got to move into the
Wow.
different world altogether.
To see this though must be amazing.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
The fans, that was
Yes, I know.
oh, that was so cool.
He's
That
a
was so
Holyoker, by the way.
cool. That was so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. So he was just talking, Pierre. When he played for UMass,
Yep.
they actually used to play over at the Orr Rink on Amherst College campus.
Oh, yeah.
They'd have to get dressed in the cage at UMass and then go over there in the cage.
So-
and then to see this is like, wow.
So my buddy's the coach there, Jack Arena,
Yep.
the first man to ever win the Division III Hobie Baker Award, played at Milton Academy, an amazing guy, and his son-in-law, James Marcoux, was an All-American at UMass in hockey. So it just shows you how everything comes together in hockey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, my crew had a great career.
Yeah. Now he's the assistant coach at Harvard for the great Teddy Donato. And by the way, Mike's a good friend of one of my guys, Joey Mullen. He calls him Moon. I call him Joey Mullen.
Will he be out here?
Mooney, no.
How's he doing?
Joey's doing very well.
Good, good. He
Right.
was the coach when I did play-by-play in color. I covered the team for the Collegian. He was always good
So
to me.
you're thinking of
Dale-
Joe Mallon.
Yep.
We're talking Joey
Oh, you're
Mullen.
talking
Another guy.
Joey
We're
Mullen.
talking about the
Oh.
Hall of Fame.
Oh, you're talking about the hockey player, Joey Mullen.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about Mallon.
The all-time American
Okay.
great, Joey Mullen.
Yes.
And
In Hell's Kitchen, New York.
Correct.
There we go.
And
How about Joey Mallon? How's he doing?
Joey's doing very well. And this is how time flies. I was thinking this on the way out. I don't want to age myself, but I started playing hockey at UMass 50 years ago this year.
Dan,
Wow.
you look good, Mike.
73,
You look great.
Get up, Mike. You look
You
good.
look great, Mike.
But excuse me, I got it up my foot. So it's been a long time, but we celebrated the 30th year of them bringing the program back. That was Joe's first year.
Yes.
We just did that.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because
This
I was
fall.
93.
Yep.
I remember that.
So we had Joe Mallon come in. We contacted all of the.
Dale Dunbar get there or no?
Dale did not.
Okay.
Nope. And,
Dale's a good friend of Pierre's.
You know, I heard,
Yeah.
Pierre, you mentioned that in the podcast the other night.
Dan and Dale, thank
Yep.
you very much.
Great,
You know,
man.
another quality individual we had come through here with Mallon. Mallon's a quality guy.
Yep.
With Bobby Delaney.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I had Butter working with me at the Europa Cup.
I'm glad you called him Butter.
I know Butter for a reason. He was a little large back in the day, but now he's leaned up. And his nickname in the minors was Father, because he used to wear the black turtlenecks. They call him Father Durant. That was his nickname.
Butter's a good friend of
Oh,
mine.
what a good man.
Please,
Mike, tell him I said
So,
hello. I'm
I
a
will
big fan.
definitely.
Really good
I
guy.
will tell him that. But he couldn't make it back for the 30th reunion. I think we got 6 or 7 of the guys back, plus Mallon.
That's
We had
great.
a nice time. But
That's
yeah, it
good.
was 30 years
Yeah.
since they brought it back.
People don't realize the history here. There's a good history.
Well,
And now it's finally being rewarded, so I love it.
I've got to just mention one thing if I can.
Yeah, go for it.
I can't talk about hockey coming back here without mentioning a friend of mine. He's sitting right there, the guy that's here challenged as well.
Okay.
John Riley. He was a teammate of mine. He was a goalie. We can't hold that against him. He got out, and they I won't hold that against him. They dropped the program, and he was a year after me. He spearheaded raising the money through the legislature to get the Mullen Center built.
Wow.
Way to go, Mr. Riley.
Way to go, Mr. Riley.
And
Thank you to him.
along the way, he met another UMass grad, Steve Sullivan, who was a baseball guy. The two of them drove it home.
Wow.
So everyone considers the Mullins Center a basketball facility. It's a hockey facility.
It is.
Yeah.
It
There's
is.
a puck
It is
buried
hockey.
with center ice.
It is.
Mike,
I
this
love
is
it.
awesome.
Thanks so much for joining us,
Good
Mike.
luck today.
Good luck
Thank
today.
you for doing that.
Oh, for sure.
You make sure you pass that Mullen guy the puck. He can score.
I give it to as much as I can to build my postings and stats up.
Name in the newspaper. Just get it to Joey.
Add the
I
stats.
promise.
And I'll say out of butter for you too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having
All
me
right,
on. Thanks
guys.
for doing that.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Wait till after when we win.
Yeah, I might. Yeah, I got to drive back to Boston. I don't know.
I got a spare bet if you need it.
Oh, this
I
is
got a spare
unbelievable.
bet,
This
don't
is
worry.
so good.
This is fun. I love hearing that talk. Just
So-
tracing the lineage of a program, and then to see it come this far.
So when Jimmy and I started the eye test, one of the things we talked about was telling the stories of the folklore of the game. Jimmy, that's exactly one of the reasons why we like to come here.
Yep.
What Mike just did.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
He exemplifies what we're about.
What we're trying to do.
Yep. He exemplifies
You know-
what we're about.
I know it's great to see cool goals, and I know it's great to talk about fights, and I know it's great to do this and that. The people that make all this happen, Mike, those are the people that matter.
Yeah.
Those are the stories that resonates with people. We have people watching us right now, Jimmy, in Ireland, right now.
Yep.
Right now, I'm telling you.
The one
And
Justine
it's-
McGuire.
It's amazing,
Yep.
though. All of our co-workers, our friends, the expats that are there, and that's just one little sliver. They
Yes.
want to hear the stories, Jimmy.
Oh, and I mean, how about our listeners and viewers that chime in from Europe? All our regulars, I love
it's
it.
amazing.
That means a lot to us. And I'll tell you one thing, Pierre, and we keep doing it. We're going to keep this going when we go on the road. This has become, I think, our favorite part. It's
is.
coming out and meeting the people in person, learning about the hockey history
Yes,
of the
yes,
area we are
yes.
in at that time. And we want to continue to do this. We're working on our draft show right now. It should be coming together soon. So we will be in Vegas, it looks like. So we are really excited about that. But Pierre,
Before you go any further, we
Yes.
talk about the history of hockey in Springfield. Go no further than the late, great, in some people's eyes, Eddie Shore.
oh, how can we forget? That's
So
a great point.
This is that city that Eddie Shore made famous in the American Hockey League.
Yes.
I know he was a great player with the Boston Bruins. I get it.
Yep.
I get it.
No, I remember.
But this is Eddie Shore town.
I was educated by Russ on that. He told me
It's just
old-time hockey.
yeah.
Eddie
Hey,
Short.
he's got to be Cale McGuire, so he's a UMass and a Colorado
Yep,
guy.
I love it. And I
That's
don't know
good.
who gave me this jersey. I got to get it back to them.
No, he's probably giving it to you as a Christmas present.
Wow,
Wait.
look at this, man. A real McCoy, Jonathan Quick jersey. I hope Jonathan's
So no, I have
we're doing you
one
proud.
trivia question for you.
Yes.
And I don't want to put you in a bad spot,
It's
Jimmy.
all right.
The first pro team that Jonathan Quick played for was
So, Manchester Monarchs,
Reading Royals.
Reading Royals, then the Manchester Monarchs.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything was King related.
was Reading the ECHL.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
everything was Royal related. Reading Royals, Manchester Monarchs, Los Angeles Kings.
Pierre, I was so excited last night. I'll admit I had a tough time sleeping. I was just sitting there, really excited to do this here and hoping we'd get the crowd, but we've got an even better crowd than I expected.
Unbelievable.
But one of the things I was going back, and I don't know if you remember the game. I want to say, I mean, we'll look it up. But off the top of my head, I'll say 2004. UMass and UMaine in a Hockey East Championship, a triple overtime. Jimmy Howard and Gabe Weiner.
Yeah.
You corrected me the other day. Gabe Weiner go toe-to-toe. And I just remember Jimmy Howard. You must have got to know Jimmy Howard over the
Yeah.
years when he
Yeah.
was playing with the Wings, eh?
I got to know Jimmy Howard when he was a kid growing up in Ogdensburg, New York.
Okay.
When I was coaching at St. Lawrence. And his father would referee our games.
Oh, wow.
His dad was a very good official, worked in the ECAC. So that's when I first got to know Jimmy Howard. There were two goalies from the state of New York that I tried to recruit to St. Lawrence. One was Jimmy Howard. He went to Maine. The other one was a guy named Mike Dunham from Chenango Bridge, New York, just outside of Binghamton. He went to Maine as well.
Jesus.
So those guys ticked me off.
Yeah.
No, I'm only kidding.
You ain't team poaching a lot, huh?
Well, back then they had Jay Leach, and they had the late Sean Walsh, and they were really good. They were really good at recruiting.
Pierre, before we switch over to our comment section right now, I want to just ask you, I'm not going to ask you for predictions. What I'm going to ask you is, if UMass is to win this region, what needs to happen for them?
They have to outgoal either Maine, Cornell, or Denver. That's number one, outgoal 10. Number two, play with structure against Denver, because that's going to be a really difficult task. Denver's so good, Jimmy, at manufacturing offense, especially off the rush. So there's going to have to be structure in the neutral zone. You're going to have to manage the puck, because if you turn it over a lot against Denver, their quick counter game is outstanding. A guy like Devine or a guy like Rizzo or a guy like Braz, they can all score off the rush. So it really comes down to coaching, goaltending, and really owning the neutral zone defensively. If UMass can do that, they have a chance against Denver. I don't know who's going to win in any of these regions, but here's what I know. This is setting up to be 4 of the most difficult regions I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like, each region's got, I know everybody's saying, oh, BC's going to walk through Providence. Be careful. Michigan Tech can be a spoiler. That's their first game. And if I were anybody, I'd be worried about Wisconsin. I'd be really worried about Wisconsin. And if you go out to St. Louis, nobody wants to play North Dakota, except if you're Michigan, you got no choice. Who wants to play Michigan in the first round?
Yeah.
Who wants to play Michigan State in the first round? I mean, this NCAA tournament's setting up to be unbelievable, Jimmy. It truly is.
And Denver, what's their key? Who are you looking at? What's a player you're honing in on?
Devine and Rizzo are really good. Roz is really good. The defense, the way they push the pace from the back end. But, Jimmy, to me, the biggest thing is if they take advantage of their counterattack, which they're really good at, that's going to cause problems for UMass if UMass doesn't handle the puck.
Okay, UMaine, what are they going to do?
They're a quick strike offensive team. They come at you in waves. They're really physical at the point of attack, especially on the forecheck. They got one line that's extremely physical. You got to shut down the Nadeau brothers. If you don't take care of those two in Lyndon Breen, you got a problem. And they got elite goaltending.
Yeah.
Maine is very well coached, very similar to UMass.
Of course, a Carvel disciple there in Ben Barr. One thing I want to ask you, though, if the Brazeau brothers are shut down here, can UMaine survive that?
No, they'd have a hard time winning without steady offense from Josh or Bradley Nadeau. They need offense from both those guys. Whether it's 5-on-5 or on the power play, they need offense. The people that are going to sleep on Cornell are making a mistake, by the way.
Yeah.
Mike Schaefer is a tremendous coach. He's been at Cornell 27 years. I can tell you right now, Ian Shane's a really good goalie. I don't think his game translates to the NHL. It's elite in college. And to me, the biggest thing is depth on defense. They got at least 3 guys and maybe 4 that I think will play in the NHL on their defense. That's significant, Jimmy, at this time of the year. And they get offense. It's not easy for them to create offense, but they get offense. And they're so good defensively. That's hard.
You mentioned Schaefer there. He's the oldest coach in this region right now, right? How much at this time of year does that play a role, Pierre, to have that experience, to know the ins and outs of what happens in teams like this? How much does that play a role?
All you got to do is ask Denver last year when they were playing in Manchester. You know, Denver lost to in the first round? Cornell.
There you go. There you go. Nobody's talking about that. Good call. Good call. All right, let's switch it over to our comment section. Get some questions here. We know a lot of people are watching here. Wow, look at that. Guys, what do we got for questions? Shoot at me right now. Mike says, not many people watch the Dallas Stars. Can you tell us how good Wyatt Johnson is and can be here?
Yes, I can. Wyatt Johnson had 3 points the other night in a 6-2 win over San Jose. He's elite offensive abilities. He's amazingly creative both on the rush and off the cycle. He's really good in confined areas. He's a playmaker and a shooter. I think he can be really good. I think he can be an 85 to 100-point player for a long time. I really do.
All right, let's shoot up the next one. Jeffrey B. What's up, Jeff? Shane Pinto is playing on a 68-point pace if we ignore the suspension. That's a very good point. Do you think Ottawa's season would have been more successful with him in the lineup all year, or would not have changed their season?
Wouldn't have changed their season because there was a lot of dysfunction at the start of the year.
I agree.
There's been a coaching change. There's been a GM change. and there's been an ownership change. 3 really relevant things in terms of changes. I can tell you right now, Shane is an amazing player. He's an outstanding kid. I consider him to be very similar to Patrice Bergeron. Watched him a ton at North Dakota. Watched him in the World Junior. I don't know if he'll ever be that good, but even if it can be 70% of Patrice, that's a really good player. He makes Ottawa a ton better.
Pierre, I can tell you this, and we've had this discussion, so I wrote about it, so I feel free to tell you. The Bruins targeted him to acquire them. When there were things going around that maybe it wasn't going to work out for him in Ottawa, and he wouldn't sign there when he got back from the suspension, the Bruins were poking around on that, and that's probably why, what you just said, because they saw some semblance of a man they had just seen retired. It makes a lot of sense. All right, we got any more questions, guys? All right, Mike, goaltender Ivan Fedotov just left the KHL to join the Flyers. Do you guys have any info on his game?
He's a really good goalie at that level. But I'm going to tell you exactly what I tell everybody when they ask me to rate European trained goalies. Let's see how he does on the smaller ice with the crease traffic, the time zone travel, and the big players. Let's see how that works out. But right now I can tell you he's a very athletic, very competent, very good goalie.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, if you're the Ducks, do you keep Zegras?
I probably would not. I would probably move him on. And that's not a knock on Trevor at all. But I think I can get more assets for Trevor away from my team than with him. You have to remember, Randy, the offensive players they have right now that are coming into their system are phenomenal. Don't forget they signed Alex Killorn last year, even though he got hurt this year, tremendous offensively. Leo Carlson needs to play every night next year. They can't do a work management or a load management thing on him. So they got to create spots for some of their players. And I would say that he's probably worth more with another team than he is with Anaheim.
All right, next question. Jason Logan, what's up, Jay? Tell the little guy we say hi. Tell baby Sid hello. Did you see Jackson Blake get the MVP here?
Yeah, he's a really good player.
He is.
So the only thing that surprises me, and it's not a knock on Pittsburgh, Jimmy, but when they made the trade and they traded Gensel to Carolina, I don't know if they asked for Jason Blake or not. The only thing I would have wanted from them for Gensel was Jason Blake. I didn't need anything else. Just give me Jason Blake.
I know.
So I don't know if they asked for him or not. But that's the only knock I have on that deal.
All right, next question. Kook69, your thoughts on Montreal prospect with DU Sam Harris?
He's a prospect. That's what I'm going to say. He's a prospect.
All right, next question. Randy Workman, do you guys ever see Sam?
I did. I saw him play at Union College. I saw him play out west. And I know he's got, I think, 4 points in 6 games in the American Hockey League. He can skate, he can score. He's an older guy, but he's been at college hockey a long time, so he's got a bit of an advantage. We didn't have great numbers at Union, but out west he had real good numbers.
And thank you for the compliment, Kook69. I'm glad you appreciate me in a suit. Next question. Justin LeBron, what do you guys think of the games last night?
Well,
how's that?
No, well, you know what?
It was very light. We were doing a light and heavy yesterday. I thought both games were light here. I did.
Yeah, well, the start for Ottawa was great. I think the Buffalo Sabres need to take a long look in the mirror. That's unacceptable.
Yeah.
For a team that says, oh, yeah, we're still fighting for a playoff spot, and you come home and lay an egg like that, no, not acceptable at all. And I'm sure Donnie Granato, the head coach, was really disappointed, as was probably the GM, Kevin Adams. So that's not good. Credit to Ottawa. They're pushing at the end of the year. I have a lot of respect for that. I didn't think Boston had anything left in the tank after what they did the night before in Florida. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I got to say, too, Pierre, I remember clear as day when they traded for, talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning, when they traded for Tanner Janot. You told me, watch out for this guy. And a lot of people were criticizing them in terms of what they gave up for that player. But you said it's not just about points. It's about everything he can do and how he can change a game. Pierre, did he not change that game last night?
And you know what? Again, transparency, Jimmy can tell you. I sent him a text right away, and I said, Trent Frederick is a tough guy. I hope he's not hurt.
Yeah.
And I hope he's not messed
Whoa,
up.
He took a
Because
shot.
he got whacked.
Yeah, he
And
got whacked.
Trent's a tough kid, and I know he watches the eye test. You are a tough kid. I know Janot's a tough kid. Stuff happens. Don't let that ruin your season.
For sure.
Trent Fredericks got 18 goals this year. He's had an unbelievable year.
Yep.
But
yeah.
Janot, that's where Janot, when Janot's involved like that, and I don't just mean fighting, Jimmy. I mean hitting, going to the net, forecheck,
Aggravating.
driving people nuts.
Yep.
He's really effective.
He did, and they fed off it. I mean, they fed off it, and I
100%.
saw a lot of their post-game quotes all complimented. Do we have any more questions right now, guys? I think we're good right now. Oh, we do. Justin LeBron, Bruins playoff prediction.
I give that to you.
I'll take it. And ironically, the game we were just talking about, if the season was over as we speak, that would be the first round matchup, would be the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Boston Bruins. I would give this one to the Bruins, but in 7. I think it could go either way. Be a 7-game series. I give a slight edge to the Bruins. But then again, Vasilevsky can change a whole lot of that in a hurry. If he goes in and he steals 1 or 2 in the opening 2 in Boston, all bets are off. So nothing's going to be an easy path for anyone in this Eastern Conference. But I think that would be a hell of a series. I want to see both teams play each other fresh, though. And you mentioned how the Bruins are exhausted from that emotional game flying in from Florida the night before, Pierre. Let's not forget that Tampa, as you pointed out yesterday, was coming in from the West Coast. So they had that, trademark flat game sitting right in front of them to happen. So I give them a lot of credit for really digging deep and finding the emotion they needed to take care of that game. So good credit to them on that.
Good
All right,
point.
what do we got? Who are your 2 underdogs to win it all this Frozen Four? Well, I'm going to go with my alma mater. But I don't know. A lot of people don't say they're an underdog, So, but I would say UMass, and I'm going to say another team right in this region, Pierre. And I know you disagree with me, but I got a weird feeling about the Big Red. Cornell.
I am going to say Quinnipiac,
Okay.
because I don't think anybody has a defending chance as a
No, nobody's talking about them.
no, especially with what happened last weekend when they got shut out by St. Lawrence 3-0 in Lake Placid. I'm going to take Quinnipiac and Rand Pecknold as a dark horse. Now they got a big game tomorrow against Wisconsin they're going to have to take care of, and getting past BC or Michigan Tech won't be easy. So they're one of my dark horses. I don't know if Michigan's a dark horse or not. I don't know. But I'm going to tell you right now, they've been close so many times, and this is the first time I can tell you they don't have a lot of guys that you can say, oh, yeah, as soon as they lose, they're going to go play for the NHL team that drafted them. So I think Michigan could be a dark horse.
right.
Quinnipiac and Michigan.
Yeah, I remember being at speaking of Frozen Fours, Pierre, I was at the Frozen Four in 1998, Boston College and UMass at TD Garden. My friend Chris Masters was in that game. I remember my former classmate at St. Sebastian's, poor guy Jamie O'Leary, hit the post on a breakaway in overtime, and then Michigan won it in overtime in that game. But yeah, it is interesting. Usually we would be hearing a lot more about Michigan, so that's a good call there, Pierre. I'll take it there. All right, what do we got? Any more, guys? Pierre, have you ever lost your fuse while coaching? You're such a nice guy. No, Pierre would never do that. No.
No, I'm going to be totally transparent. I'm not going to change, Jimmy. Yeah, many times. One time was a good story. I was really mad. We were practicing at Avon Old Farms. It was the morning before we played the morning of, actually. We played the New York Rangers, coached by Mike Keenan and Colin Campbell and Dick Todd. And I was really ticked at my team. We practiced terribly, like brutally bad. So I lost my nut. I went crazy. Booted him off the ice, shattered my stick everywhere. That's when they had wood sticks, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And we came back and we beat the Rangers that night.
There you go.
I was like, oh yeah, that'll
Jim
work.
Montgomery the other day.
Oh, Jimmy, I lost it bad. That's probably one of the bigger.
Here, what about, and I know you've told it before, but maybe everyone here hasn't heard it. What about the Sally story?
So we were playing Montreal. It was a road trip for Hartford. It was our season on the line. In Quebec, in Montreal, in Winnipeg, in Calgary, in Vancouver, and we ended in Edmonton. So game one, we win in Quebec either 2-1 or 3-2. And my friend Pierre Page was coaching Quebec. And I think that cut our differential of 5 points out of a playoff spot. We took the bus to Montreal. The next day we played the Canadiens. Lion Load Line set a record for most points ever scored by a Montreal Canadiens defenseman in one game.
Yep.
Jimmy, in the first period, I went crazy. I went nuts. I was screaming and yelling, and there was no glass behind the bench then. And my mother was sitting behind. She comes down the aisle and she says, "Young man, that language is atrocious. You should be ashamed of yourself. What an awful job you're doing." And the players were like, "Wow, that lady really gave it to Pierre." And I was like, "Yeah, it's my mom." Yeah.
God bless you, Sally. I hope you're watching. We miss you. We'll look forward to another remote we do it. You're there. Pierre, this is great. I just spotted a UMaine fan. I don't know if you noticed there.
I've been busy looking at you on the screen.
We're getting a couple other schools are filtered in now.
Make sure we didn't leave any questions out.
Yeah, I want to make sure we got. You have any questions left, everybody? I think we're good.
Well, I want to give credit where credit's due. Jimmy has done an amazing job here. Take it.
Okay.
You set this up. What a great vision you had for this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really smart. And all these people here appreciate it, Jimmy. You did a phenomenal job. I'm so grateful to be here with you. This has been so much fun. And when we turn the cameras off, Jimmy, we're going to have more fun. We're going to have a lot more fun.
All right.
Oh,
We got one more. Oh, just a compliment. This is from Kookie69. And again, thanks for the compliment on my suit. This is an exceptionally valuable podcast with insight into anything and everything hockey with fantastic hosts and guests. Thank you. That means a lot.
You need to do two things. Don't let go of Manscaped, and make sure you mention our good friend Factor.
And, I'll tell you right now, Pierre, I got some Factor meals in the hotel room because, as everyone knows out there, I am celiac, so they have a couple good gluten-free ones that I like. So I brought them along there. You know why? Because Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. Head to factormeals.com/iTest50 and use the code iTest50 to get 50% off. Again, that's factormeals.com/iTest50. Use the code iTest50, get 50% off. And let's talk about Manscaped here too. Smooth. There we go. That's all I'll say. This season, make sure to groom your carpets and the drapes with the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Go to manscaped.com and use the code iTest for 20% off and free shipping. Again, that's manscaped.com. Use the code iTest for 20% off and free shipping. Also, let's pull it up before we get off here, too.
No, we're not going anywhere yet. There's a couple other things you got to do.
Yeah, there is, and I want to go to our friend Bob. All right, because I haven't been mentioning enough, and Bob does a great job of setting up these wonderful. I lost the latest one. 1 second. Bob does a great job of setting up this day in history, in hockey history. Bob Borgen, that is. 1 second, I'll pull up today's.
Bob Borgen, by the way, legendary producer and hockey man out on the West Coast in California, and a really, really special friend of the show. Bob, thanks for all you do.
All right, Pierre. I don't want to put a damper on it. I don't know about this one, Pierre. What happened today in 1997?
Put it out there.
The Hartford Whalers announced that they will move from Connecticut following the 96-97 season. I remember that, Pierre. It was so fast. Usually you get that a little more advanced notice, and the team will know that this is it. There was whispers. A lot of people kind of knew it was going to happen, but they didn't make it official until literally a couple of weeks before it happened. And Pierre, I'm going to tell you a quick story. At the time, my college girlfriend, who was married Mackenzie now, but married Roberti at the time. She went on to be my wife and the mother of my child, so wonderful woman. Anyhow, she lived in New York, so I'm driving down to New York to see her, and I get a call. I just hopped on 91. I was coming down from Amherst. I get a call. You want some tickets? And I said, for what? The last game ever, Hartford Civic Center. I said, I'm actually on 91. I'm coming down from Springfield right now. He goes, well, pull on in and you're going to the game. And I went. Wow. And it was emotional. It was amazing. And Pierre and I have had this discussion. We talked about it this morning. We want to, it's probably never going to happen that they get the NHL back in Hartford. But what we're seeing right now here it got me a little emotional because there is such a great hockey tradition in Connecticut and in Western Mass here. And to all you people that are missing the Whalers, you're in our hearts. Just know that.
You know, there were a lot of people that really cared about that team, and I don't mean fans. I mean people that worked for the team, people that really put their life on the line for the group, players, coaches, trainers, management people. The late Emil Francis cared so much about the Hartford Whalers. The late Gordie Howe cared so much about the Hartford Whalers. There were people within the community that didn't care as much, and that was unfortunate. And you could never catch a break, especially when you were going through a major rebuild. All that being said, it's worked out really well for the people in Carolina. I feel terrible for the Whaler fans, but my good friend and our good friend, Chuck Caton, he cares so much about this area, and we talk to Chuck a lot. And, you know, the biggest thing is that man's voice will always be the voice that called the Stanley Cup winner for Carolina / Hartford in 2006.
And he mentioned them.
And 100% he did. And that resonates with me, Jimmy, having worked for that team.
Yeah.
And, you know, Chuck and I came up with a name for the group. We call them the Whaler Canes.
I like
That's
it.
What we do. That's
I
what
like
we do.
it.
We call them the
It's
Whaler
beautiful.
Canes.
You know, by the way, do you have an issue when the Canes honor the Whalers and wear those jerseys? I love it.
I think it's great.
A lot
Why
of people
would
say you're
No.
you're disrespecting. I think
no,
it's completely
no,
respectful.
I think it's great. Listen, I love what Brendan Moore is doing there as a coach. I think Donnie Waddell's done some nice work. Before that, Jimmy Rutherford, Paul Maurice coached well in Hartford.
Yep.
He coached really well in Carolina. Laviolette did a great job in Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I respect everything those guys did. I care about the franchise.
And I love that they're paying homage to their roots. It's a great
And I
way
still
to do
think
it.
that road trip I was telling you about where my mom came down and gave me crap, I think that's still the best Hartford Whaler road trip in history. If you think about it, win in Quebec, lose in Montreal, win in Winnipeg, OT loss in Calgary, win in Vancouver, win in Edmonton.
But you still didn't make it in?
We didn't make it in.
We
were
that
close
is
to
a hell of
one.
a road trip. That is a great road trip.
Think about that road trip. That's a hard. That back then, those teams were good.
Yeah, God, I wish I could have been to a game in the Coliseum here. I would have loved that. All right, what do we got? We got a few more before we sign off here. We
Yes.
Who do you have as a winner in the OHL playoffs? I have to admit,
man.
I have not been following, so I can't answer that.
You know what? That's a good question. Let me think about it, and tomorrow I will have an. I don't want to just throw something out there without. I'm going to think about that.
All right,
because I don't want to upset any friends.
I've been asked by the Eye Test Control Central to go do something right now. You can see in our chat room there. I'm going to go do that. I want you to continue taking questions. I'll be right back.
All right, let's keep going with questions. Next question, please. Who wins the Metro? I think the Rangers. Randy, I don't know why they wouldn't. They've been outstanding all year long. They're heating up at the right time. They've overcome a bunch of injuries. Zibanejad looks like he's ready to go another level. Oh, this is Jimmy. Jimmy, the alma mater, UMass. I'll let you pick up the noise. Oh, you have a new nickname for me. Fire starter. Oh, my God. There we go. All right. Next question.
What was your favorite game of all time that you were a part of?
When I was a fan,
As a fan? Go for a fan. You start.
1971, watching the Montreal Canadiens beat the Chicago Blackhawks in Old Chicago Stadium, Game 7. It was amazing to watch. As a coach, winning in 1992 in Old Chicago Stadium. And then as a broadcaster, 2010 Olympic gold medal game, Canada versus U.S. The golden goal from Sidney Crosby and the yelling from Crosby to Jerome McGinley. Iggy, Iggy, Iggy. After the third Iggy, Jerome got him the puck and Sid scored past Ryan Miller. So those are my three greatest memories.
All right. So mine as a fan would be 1992. In the round before they played you, Pierre, with the Penguins, the Boston Bruins, Montreal Canadiens. For the first time ever, the Boston Bruins swept the Montreal Canadiens. Game 4 was in the Boston Garden. Peter Doris put them up 2-0 with an empty netter with about 38 seconds left. And I'm sitting there in the stands. My grandfather had season tickets. So I'm sitting, and I got this guy to my right, and he's got a Patrick Waugh jersey, and he says, "Hold this." And I said, "Okay." He takes out a lighter, and he lights it on fire, and he takes it from me, hurls it onto the ice in flames, and it's on the ice, and Waugh looks over, and he's waving the Bull gang over. Somebody's going to get over here and put this out. And I'm just like, what the heck just happened? I've never heard the Boston Garden louder than in that game. It was amazing. And then, of course, they went on to play the Penguins, and the Penguins swept them. And then you went on to win your Stanley Cup against the Blackhawks here in 1992. As a reporter, I think it would have to be Game 7 in Vancouver, being there for the Stanley Cup, not being able to leave the rink because of the riots outside, and having my colleague at the time, ESPN Boston, Joe McDonald, say, well, we're going to be stuck here for a while. We need some beer. So he circles around the arena. Everything's closed now. He's trying to find the manager or somebody to get us some beers from the suites, maybe. So he comes back with a 30-pack of Bud Light. And he goes, "Gentlemen, enjoy this Bud Light because it's the most expensive 30-pack you'll ever taste." He paid 350 Canadian for a 30-pack of Bud Light just so we could sit there and have those beers and rejoice. So that was our memory.
I'm going to back you up on the
riots.
2011. Doc Emmerich and I were in a car heading to the airport right after Game 7 was over. We had a tight connection to make the flight, and we were coming under a bridge to get on, and a Molotov cocktail came off the top of the bridge and landed right next to the hood of the car we were in. It was surreal to experience. Doc and I, to this day, still talk about it. It was unbelievable. It really was.
That was something, man. I just remember, too, Pierre, getting back, because remember, it's Pacific time, so it still wasn't that late.
No.
But, man, it was
after the 2010 gold medal game, I got swarmed outside the arena, which was great by proud Canadian fans.
That was more happy, right?
They were happy, but you're by yourself and you're swarmed. And the RCMP saw this, and they
Did he recognize you?
Up. Oh, yeah. They picked me up and put me on the back of a horse, and they rode me to my hotel.
Okay. Not to sidetrack. Awesome. We'll close it up. Not to side, but quickly reminded me of this one, too. So that same year, 2011, in the Bruins-Canadian series, it went 7 games. I don't know if you remember, Pierre, but Game 6 and Game 7 were back-to-back nights, right? So you had to just turn around and get right back. And I'm driving. I'm not flying because they weren't putting us up for a flight. So I have to drive back to from Montreal to Boston next day to get back for Game 7. So I'm like, whatever. I went out with a couple friends after the game, thinking I'll get up at like 10, be fine. I'll get home around 3 or 4, change of clothes, shower, and I'll take the train into the Garden. Well, stupid me doesn't factor in. A lot of Canadians fans are going to be going down for the games, and there's also a lot of Bruins fans coming back. So the border is backed up, I kid you not, like a mile and a half.
I've been on that border. I know very well.
Okay? So we're sitting there. It was so backed up that fans were outside of their cars. They had hibachis, and they were grilling burgers on the side of the road waiting to get to the border. So I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to miss the game. Now it's like we're talking 2 o'clock now here. It's like 2 in the afternoon, and I got to be there for a 7:30 start. So this guy comes by, one of the guys with the dog, and we're just sitting. I got the window down. He looks, and he goes, "Are you Jimmy Murphy?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I know. I read your stuff all the time." He goes, "Your dad and my dad went to high school together at Catholic Memorial. Small world. I grew up in the same neighborhood as your dad in Dorchester. I love your work. Your dad was a great man." And he says, "You trying to get back to the game?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm pretty screwed." And he goes, "Wait 1 minute." So within 20 minutes, border security, you ever see those trucks there, the border security? They come down, they pave a way for us and escort us to the border and put us right through.
Good. No, that's cool. That's
Oh, it was great.
By the way, to all the border people,
oh, they're the best.
Thank you, everybody that protect the border. Thank you.
And we love talking hockey with
men
you.
and women. We
really
love talking hockey. More times than not, Jimmy, when I cross, I get asked really good questions. And I really appreciate the
Yeah.
professionalism of everybody that works. And so thank you.
It's great. And, like I said, the last time I was here, I don't know if I told everyone here, when I was coming into Montreal, the guy listens to the eye test, Pierre, and he was planning, he didn't make it, though, but he was going to try and make it to Hurley's for the show. So next time, hopefully you make it.
Let's make sure we didn't leave any questions there because we got to get going.
Yeah,
in the
we
game.
got to go. Let's, what do we got? Any more questions, guys? Brand new, who gets number 8 in the Eastern Wild Card?
Who do you like?
Detroit.
Big night tonight. If
Yep.
the Washington Capitals win tonight, I don't know. I don't know.
We'll see.
The under the radar game, Philly at Montreal.
Yep.
Philly wins that game, I think they're going to make it.
Oh, yeah.
Whether they make it as a wild card or make it in the East, or in the Metro.
It's a big game there. And
yeah,
they're catching Montreal back from a long trip.
I know.
Emotional win. It's a good spot for Philly. All right, next question. East or West takes the
I'm going
Stanley
to take
Cup?
the West.
West. There we go. All right, listen, I want to thank everyone here at the tap. The staff was wonderful. AD of University of Massachusetts, Ryan Bamfor, Mike Merchant, the head of the hockey alumni of the University of Massachusetts, our staff back in Montreal, Control Central there. You guys did a great job teaching me new things about the iPhone.
What about Vegas? Let's get Vegas going.
Get Vegas going. We're going to hopefully do something at the tap in Vegas for the draft. So we're going to be talking to the GM here about that. I want to thank the Holiday Inn Express here in Springfield. And I want to thank all the UMass and all the college hockey fans here. What a great atmosphere. I am revved up. We're less than an hour away from the first game of the Springfield Regional, UMass in Denver. For Pierre McGuire, I'm Jimmy Murphy. This has been another edition of the Eye Test on the SIP Podcast Network. Enjoy the hockey.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Eye Test with Pierre McGuire and Jimmy Murphy on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.